You're watching KSPF Channel 1. 1942, 1976, and 2020. What do all those things have in common? Well, if you guessed that they all saw matchups between Georgia and Cincinnati, well then you'd be correct. The first meeting, Georgia took down Cincinnati by a final score of 35-13 in Cincinnati. The second matchup between Georgia and Cincinnati took place in Athens, Georgia. Cincinnati would suffer a similar fate, losing this game 31-17. Each team individually has posted 9 games total on the season. Georgia is 7-2 in their 9 games, and Cincinnati is 9-0. This season, the Bulldogs are scoring just over 33 points per game. They're allowing just under 20 points per game scored against them. As for the Bearcats, they're scoring just over 39 points per game, with 16 points allowed per game. Now at head coach, we get a pretty fun matchup. Georgia is going to be coached by Kirby Smart, who's a phenomenal 51-14 at Georgia. With that being said, Kirby Smart doesn't like to lose to non-conference opponents. He just doesn't do it often. The last time it happened was in the 2019 Sugar Bowl when Texas beat Georgia 28-21. The last time before that was in Athens, Georgia, when Georgia Tech rolled into town and won by 1 point. Now, as a head coach, Luke Fickell really is no slouch himself. He's had 2 losing seasons. One was his first year at Cincinnati, and then the other was the 2011 season at Ohio State. But since then, he's had 2 11-win years, and this year won the American Athletic Conference. So it's looking pretty likely that Georgia is going to start JT Daniel as their quarterback this week. This year, Daniels is 54 of 81 for 839 yards on top of 9 touchdowns and 1 interception. Cincinnati will be starting Desmond Ridder at quarterback. This season, Ridder is 162 for 244 passing on top of 2,090 yards, which has accounted for 17 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Georgia fans are going to want to also keep an eye on Zamir White. White, at running back, has 133 rushing attempts this season for 740 yards and 10 touchdowns. But Jared Doak should be ready to answer any call that the Georgia rushing attack throws at them, with Jared Doaks running the ball this season 144 times for 673 yards and 7 touchdowns. So Georgia comes into this game with wins against 3 ranked teams: Auburn, Tennessee, and on the road at Missouri. The closest of all those games was a 21-point win against Auburn, who was ranked number 7 at the time they played. Cincinnati also comes into this game with wins against 3 ranked opponents, the closest being their regular season finale in the American Athletic Conference Championship against Tulsa, in which they won 27-24. The Peach Bowl has a 50-point over-under. Georgia comes into this game as a 7-point favorite. So I know that there are a ton of people out there that love to see Group of 5 teams come up undefeated and beat the Power 5 teams. Boise or UCF, Western Michigan, or even Cincinnati maybe. I wouldn't probably get my hopes up too high. I do think Cincinnati's going to make this a pretty competitive game. I think it's going to be close, but I think ultimately Georgia is going to cover the spread. I'm going to go ahead and say that my final score on this one is going to be 30-22 favoring Georgia. As always, be sure to like and subscribe to this video if you'd like to see more content. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think the score is going to be of this game? Do you think Cincinnati can pull off the undefeated season? Or do you think Georgia is going to go ahead and win this one? I'd like to hear what you have to say. And as always, go Pokes!